Welcome to Hook to Knot. In this tutorial, today I'm going to show you how I made this crochet shirt for men. To make this beautiful shirt, what we need is enough yarns in two colors. I'm using the typical color, cream color and green color. 3.5 mm crochet hook, lots of stitch markers, a darning needle, measuring tape, and my favorite pair of scissors. This shirt will be made in few stages. Stepwise, first one is how I started, then how I create armhole opening, then how I give neckline shaping, then how I complete the required height, then how I do the button strip and the buttonhole strip, making collar, and finally making sleeves. For convenience of makers, I am going to instruct this shirt making in two parts. First part will be up to creating a neckline and doing the required height. Second part will be how I do my buttonhole and button strips, collar and sleeves. Make a moving knot. Chain 15. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. After 15, chain 2 and 2 more DCs in the chain number 15. This will form our first granny cluster. Chain 2. In the next chain, cluster of 3 DC. Skip 2. In the next chain, again one more cluster. Skip 2. In the next chain, one more cluster. Skip 2. Next cluster. Skip 2. Next cluster. Now you will have only one chain remaining at the base. So chain 2. In the last chain, again one more cluster. This chain 2 is going to give the space for creating a corner. Chain 2. Now we are coming at a return pass. So wherever we have made our cluster of DC, we will have next cluster of the DC in the opposite direction. See this. Again skip 2 and cluster. Skip 2 and cluster. If you see this, I am weaving in the end simultaneously. Now chain 2 and slip stitch into the very first DC. This is how our first line will look. Now we are going to continue corners from this, and this will remain the straight side. So turn your work, slip stitch into the chain 2 space, chain 2, turn your work, and this chain 2 will be counted as first DC. So first cluster. Directly go to the next space, 3 DC, 2 chain, and 3 DC will be the corner. Now we'll continue with the granny pattern, and here we'll create the next corner. Now we have come to corner. In the corner, 3 DC, chain 2, and 3 DC in the same space. And in the next corner, we'll have 3 DCs and the line will be over. We will continue this way now. Please understand, these corners are going to continue, and this side, once there will be a single DC and once there will be a cluster of 3 DC. Next line, chain 2, turn your work, go in the first space, 3 DCs. Now we are going in the corner space. So 3 DC, 2 chain, and 3 DC in the same space. We'll continue granny pattern. 3 DCs in the each space. In the end, we'll just make 1 DC on the top of this third DC from the cluster. Now see this. One time you are going to have cluster of 3 DC and one time you are going to have single DC. This is how we will progress. This side will not grow, only this side will grow. And we are making a band of 4 lines of one color. So this is line number 1, 2 and 3. Now I am on to the 4th and the last line of this color. So chain 2, turn your work, in the first space 2 more DCs. It means this will look as the first cluster. Continue the granny pattern. In the corner, 3 DC, 2 chain and 3 DC in the same space. I'll continue with the granny pattern. Come to this end, form a corner and finish the line. This would be the corner. So 3 DC, 2 chain and 3 DC. Now we need to add the next color. So I'm not finishing this DC. I'm going to add the next color. As usual, first stitch with the shorter tail or the end. Then I need to do chain 2. But I am not going to cut this yarn, so I am going to weave in along with it. Turn your work and now continue the pattern with green color. So as it is 3 DC here, so we will have 1 DC directly jumping onto the next space, 3 DC, and I will continue. In the corner again 3 DC, 2 chain, 3 DC. If you know how to do granny pattern, then this is a very easy project. I'm very sure you will not get stuck with the corners. Where you might feel stuck would be the start and end point of it. I'll show you once again. Wherever you will have cluster of 3 DCs in the end, you just have to do a DC in the last or the first DC. So chain 2, turn your work. In the first space itself, you will do 2 more DCs. So here the cluster will be created. Please understand the pattern. Cluster of 3 DCs, 1 DC, 3 DC, 1 DC. This is how you can check your end portion. I am at the end of the line 2, green color. Now first 2 DCs I'll do like normal, but in the third one I'm going to weave in the other color. See this, once front, once back. Turn your work. Now I have 3 DCs here, so I am directly jumping into the next space. We'll start with the 3 DCs. Continue the pattern. The trick is in the starting and ending the line. As the garment will be made in 2 colors, do not cut the yarn after each stripe. You can very much weave in the ends or weave in the yarn and continue with the pattern. Lesser number of loose ends, it will give strength to the garment. Only one side will have this other thread continued. Once it will be off-white, once it will be green. Now where the line is ended with DC, chain 2, turn your work and do 2 more DCs in the same space. So then it will form the cluster. Check point is cluster single DC, cluster single DC. This is how the pattern has to continue. Now this being 4th line, after this line we are again going back to off-white color. So I will show you how I change the color once again. See you at the end of the line. In the end of this row, I need to do a cluster of 3 DC in the last space. So there is no modification for the first 2 DCs. In the last DC, I am going to weave in this other color and finish with the other color. Now I'll have to weave in green color and continue with off-white color. Chain 2, turn your work. Now as this is cluster, I will start with the space. Likewise, the pattern will continue. In the last row there was a cluster, so in this row there will be only a DC. Now we have to change the color. So yarn over, pull up a loop, pass the other color and complete the DC with green color. Now we are supposed to carry forward this off-white color, once from the back and once from the front. And we'll go ahead. Now here 2 more DCs in the space to form a cluster and then continue with the pattern. this is how our work will progress, and I will see you after required width of the garment. See, this would be our shoulder. I am stopping after 4 off-white or cream color stripes and 3 green color stripes. Now is the time to create space for armhole. Now after this, there will be work in green color. So we are going to take green color and create the armhole. For creating armhole, what you need to know is number of granny stitches in the one side. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. 14 granny stitch clusters. So this is around 10 inches. 10 inches of armhole should be fine. 14 granny clusters means 42 chains, and I'm going to count 1 for start and 1 for end. So what I'm going to do now is take another yarn bundle of green color. Why green color? Because my next color in use would be green. Now I am going to start working from down to up. It means the end portion of this joint should be at shoulder. So make a moving knot. Attach the yarn. Chain 44. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43 and 44. Now I will join this yarn to this end. Cut the yarn. See this. This will be my armhole. Now continuing with the green color. See, here we stopped with 1 DC. So chain 2. Turn your work. In the very first chain, make 2 more DCs and we will have our first cluster. See, any garment, first line you have to go little slow because the chain spaces are tight. Now again skip to a granny stitch in the next. Skip to granny stitch in the next. skip 2, this is how we will start. We will come till the corner portion here, and here onwards we will continue on the main garment, and again on the other side we will create the armhole. Let me repeat once again how I did my armhole opening. First thing, I counted how many DC clusters we have. I have 14 DC clusters. So 14 threes are 42, plus 1 for this corner and 1 for this start. So 44 chains. I started from here and I joined the yarn here. Now, as you know, here you can see 1 DC. So started with the cluster and then skip to next cluster, skip to next cluster. This is how it will go around that chain. Corner has to be on the garment. So 3 DC, 2 chain, 3 DC in the same space, and continue on the garment, and then we will go for the next armhole. How to know whether I have done it correctly or not? So check the corner. Corner is on the body of the garment, and this is where the armhole will begin. The first green cluster has to be between this. Likewise, just match cluster in the in-between spaces and see whether we have correct number of clusters or not. Correct. Same goes for the other side. Correct. Now I will continue with the green color, 3 more lines. So we are continuing the granny pattern. The design will continue 4 lines each color. It's just that after folding, front side will have vertical stripes and back side will have horizontal one. Now it's all about matching the shoulders. Now my portion is becoming bigger and going out of the photography area. Just wanted to let you know that here I will fold so that now whatever I am working on will be front side of the shirt. How do I attach my next bundle of yarn? This one is ending, this one is fresh one. I just hold both of them together. One simple knot, but I ensure that at least 3 to 4 inches of yarn is left on both the ends. After doing armhole, I have continued with the pattern, and how much more I will do, I'll show you. I will fold the garment near armhole and then try matching shoulder part of it. For this garment, the off-white line I am doing currently would be the last line, and then you will see the in-between neck portion will be empty. Then I will show you how I do the shape for the neck. If you see, I have cut both the colors here because now I'll be creating a gap and then continuing work. If I continue the thread, here it will be little thicker on one side of the neck, which will not be good for our final finish of the garment. When you make required number of lines or number of stripes, it's time to create the neckline. To create the neckline, first thing is leave 4 clusters, granny clusters from top and put a stitch marker. After stitch marker, attach the yarn, and the trick is in the first place only 2 chains and start working from the next space onwards. Every time I am reducing 1 cluster. This is how it will go. Now after first band, still there is some space left. Now what I am going to do is attach the off-white color, do 1 or 2 lines, and then just continue the pattern only for the bottom portion. I have achieved the width or chest size of the shirt. Now we need to achieve the height of the shirt. Then only we will do the neckline and collar finishing and sleeves. Let me show you one more time how I change the color. So this is last cluster, yarn over, go into the first or last DC of the previous row, pull up a loop, pull through first 2. Now instead of finishing this DC, I will attach next color. I'm going to leave these ends little longer so that later on weaving in becomes easy for me. So chain 2, turn your work. Now I am directly going into I'm leaving this first space, directly going into the next space, and this is what is going to give me the slant or the neck shaping. See this. Neckline finishing can come only after doing the full height. I am not cutting this yarn because I'll use it eventually for finishing the neckline. Just taking next ball of yarn and continuing the work. Take a new ball of yarn, pull up the thread from the center. Why from the center? Because if you pull from this side, the ball keeps on rolling all over the place while you are working. When you pull it from the center, the ball stays stationed or stand still and your work happens without any hassles. So again, make a moving knot, attach a yarn in the corner, first stitch always with the loose tail or shorter tail, chain 2, make 2 more DCs in the corner space and continue the pattern. Now we are going to increase only the base portion of the garment. Keep continued 4 lines of cream color and 4 lines of green color till you reach the height of 30 inches. This is how my work is progressing. After this green band, I have reached 28 inches. I'll do one more off-white color band and I'll stop it. Then I might reach to height level 29.5 or 29. Why I will stop there? Because there is something called positive ease. Positive ease of the garment means after you finish the garment and block it, generally in the direction of your stitch, the material settles and the length or the width is increased. I'm very sure this garment will have a positive ease of about 1 inch. So I am okay to stop after one more off-white color band. I'm done with the height portion of the shirt and it's coming approximately 29.5 inches. As I said, there will be some positive ease and we will definitely having final result of 30 inches after blocking. I will be showing how I finish the neckline, how I make the collar and how I make the sleeves in the next video. Thank you for watching this video.